You ever had someone build a steel fence in front of your house overnight just to prove a point? Yeah. That happened. 3 feet of cold, grey metal, dead center in front of my gate, like some kind of HOA Berlin Wall. I stood there with my coffee, barely awake, staring at it like it had grown up from the ground overnight, which, turns out, it had. Laminated sign and everything, no entry. HOA violation in progress. I couldn't decide whether to laugh or throw my mug. See, this wasn't about a fence. This was about control, Vivian Ashcroft level control. She was the newly elected president of our homeowners association, and man, did she treat that title like queen of a tiny kingdom. She showed up at my door a few weeks prior, clipboard thicker than a Bible, smiling that smile that says, "I'm about to ruin your day." Claimed my lawn was an inch too long, mailbox chipped, porch light wasn't HOA standard. Then came the real kicker, she wanted a key to my gate. Not a metaphorical key, an actual, physical copy. Said it was for compliance inspections, rattling off some obscure HOA covenant section like it was scripture. I told her no. Not a maybe, not a we'll see. Just flat out, no. This house. It's all I've got left of my wife, Sarah. She passed a few years back, and her touch is still everywhere in it. The garden, the artwork, the smell of her favorite soap in the guest bathroom. Giving someone access to that. It felt wrong. Vivian didn't take that well. Her fake smile flickered like a faulty light bulb. You have 72 hours to reconsider, she said, eyes darting to the back gate that led to the old public walkway. Something about the way she looked at it like it haunted her stuck with me. But I brushed it off. Next thing I know, boom, fence. Followed by legal letters, dozens, 10 cameras. Real ones. Mounted on poles, watching my driveway, mailbox, even my living room window. She suspended my trash pickup for some obscure bin timing rule. Neighbors started avoiding me. Mrs. Patterson, who used to bring me tomatoes, now looked the other way. The Henderson kids stopped riding bikes out front. Vivian was slowly turning the neighborhood against me, one passive-aggressive move at a time. But I'm not just some stubborn old guy. I'm a civil engineer. I know easements, city codes, boundaries. And something about that fence didn't sit right. So I pulled the old subdivision maps and there it was. That path behind my house? It wasn't HOA land. It was a public right-of-way, established back in 1923. Meaning they had zero legal authority to block it. And more than that, that path connected to Main Street, a direct access point worth a fortune if someone were trying to, say, develop commercial property. That's when my neighbor, a wise old guy, used to be a county surveyor, let slip something huge. 2 years ago, when Sarah was sick, Vivian tried to buy my house. Through one of those cash for homes companies, way below market value. Said she was doing me a favor. Sarah told her off, apparently with language that would make a sailor blush. I never knew about it until Earl spilled it. But it made sense now. She didn't want my house, she needed it. Vivian wasn't just playing HOA police. She'd been buying up lots for years, trying to assemble the land for some big project. But my property, my tiny little gate, and that path were the linchpin. Without them, her whole plan fell apart. So I dug deeper. Public records, old maps, surveys. I found gold. That walkway. Legally protected. Designated public access. She wasn't just overstepping, she was trespassing. Worse, she'd lied on permits, used HOA funds to build on city land. And then it hit me, I wasn't her first target. Maya Chen, a blogger who tracks HOA abuse cases, helped me dig further. Vivian had done this before 3 times. targeting families near public walkways, pushing them out, buying the land cheap. Every case followed the same pattern: violations, letters, cameras, isolation. But it wasn't just greed. Something deeper was driving her. Turns out, 10 years ago, a little boy was killed on that same path. Hit by a delivery truck. Poor signage, bad lighting. The city settled the case. But the boy's name? Tommy Ashcroft. Vivian's son. Suddenly, it all made sense. Her obsession, the fence, the fear in her eyes every time she glanced at that walkway. She wasn't trying to develop the land, she was trying to erase the scene of her son's death. Close it off, bury it under concrete and HOA bylaws. And me. I was the last obstacle in her path to making that happen. I'll admit, I almost gave up. The harassment wore me down. But then an idea came to me. Not revenge resolution. A way to reclaim my space and honor Sarah's memory while maybe, just maybe, bringing Vivian some peace. So I built a bridge. Literally. A steel pedestrian bridge from my second-story window over her illegal fence, landing squarely on the public path. Legal, permitted, and entirely on my land until it touched city property. When she returned from her Sunday routine and saw it, she lost it. Called the cops, the city, everyone she could think of. But the inspector sided with me. Her fence. Illegal. The bridge. Fully compliant. Neighbors cheered. Al toasted with his coffee. Even Mrs. Patterson came out of hiding. But Vivian. She broke. Not in rage, she wept. Whispered that children shouldn't be allowed there, that it wasn't safe. She wasn't protecting a development plan. She was trying to protect Ghost. The next morning, I found her sitting alone at the end of the walkway, staring at the spot where Tommy died. We talked. For the first time, really talked. About loss, about fear. About Sarah and Tommy. And in that conversation, we found something neither of us expected: understanding. We kept the bridge. Improved the walkway. Installed better lighting, clear signage, a memorial garden for Tommy. Vivian stepped down from the HOA and started grief counseling. And for the first time in years, the path wasn't a battleground. It was a place for healing. 6 months later, I watched kids play in that garden, their laughter bouncing off the old oak trees. Vivian smiled from her porch, not with bitterness, but with something like peace. The bridge stood tall, not just over a fence, but over years of misunderstanding and hurt. Sometimes, the only way past conflict isn't to tear down the wall but to build over it. So others can walk through without carrying the weight of what came before. If you've ever faced someone else's wrath without knowing the pain behind it, what would you have done differently? Share your thoughts in the comments. Because sometimes, the real story lives behind the silence.